I must thank again the organizing committee and Mr. Chatter for the invitation to present in this new edition of the International Dermatology Conference. The excessive exposure to UV rays causes diverse types of damage to the body as cataracts, ocular melanoma, photoaging, immunosuppression and skin cancer. UV radiation from the sunlight is divided into three ranges, UVA, UVB and UVC. The ozone layer completely blocks the UVC radiation along with a portion of a UVB radiation. Consequently, UVI accounts for 90 to 95% of the UV radiation that reaches the Earth's surface. The upper part of the chart shows how each portion of the spectra affects the human skin. The picture below illustrates the main mechanism of action of the UV filters. The UVB is more cytotoxic and mutagenic. Exposed to excessive UV radiation, cells can die by necrosis or proliferate into an uncontrolled manner, cancer. It is clearly established the role of UVA radiation in photoaging. Thus, broad-spectrum sunscreens are recommended. Here we see in what range of wavelengths the erythema is produced, red line, while in violet is drawn the entire standard sun spectrum. Note that only the wavelengths up to about 320 nanometer burn the skin, reddish coloration. The result is the blue line, called the erythemal effectiveness. In this slide, we can appreciate a mathematical definition of the sun protection factor. Note that physically it states the relation between the UV energy necessary to produce the minimal erythematic dose of protected versus unprotected skin. This chart is due to Osterwalder, the former coordinator of the Cosmetics ISO working group. On the left-hand side, the old in vivo methods are mentioned with color endpoints on the human skin. On the right-hand side, the new ISO 23675 SPF in vitro and ISO 23698 diffusion reflectance spectroscopy are listed. Also listed the simulation programs that offer both BASF and DSM to estimate sunscreen protection in silico. I discuss these in silico models because they help understand the calculation required while performing sun protection factor and UVA protection factor measurements in the practice. They consider the spectrum and the composition of the filters applied to the skin with an optical pass of 20 micrometers. The irregularity of the film is accounted with a step model. The sums are taken on the entire UVA and UVB range of wavelengths till the minimum erythematic dose. On behalf of the old methods, ISO 24442 followed the same methodology as 24444, but the endpoint was not an erythema but the dark coloration obtained on the skin with the UVA. To obtain radiation purely UVA, cutoff filters to limit the range of wavelengths on the source are used. In the case of UVA protection and broad spectrum products, the definition used in USA completely differs from the ISO definition, introducing the critical wavelength to achieve at least 90% absorption at 370 nanometer between 290 and 400 nanometer. Note that the skin types to be tested were limited to light medium tones. Inclusion and exclusion criteria of panelists were of extreme importance for the consistency of the results. Standardized, the sunlight was replaced by a standardized xenon arc lamp, whose radiation spectrum differs significantly from the natural light. It has too much UVB and lacks a part of the complete spectrum. In addition, only radiation at certain latitudes of the northern hemisphere is considered. The solar irradiance in Brazil, Africa, or Australia is not the same as the one in Italy. It is well known that high variability was obtained while comparing the results of the same samples tested in different laboratories. These differences were not significant at relatively low sun protection factors, but now that such sun protection factors are as high as possible, the variations are huge. The benzoyl methanes azabobenzone, the most widely used UVA filter, degrade when subjected to UV radiation. The decomposition products have deleterious effects on the skin and, of course, no longer filtering the UV radiation. Not only the UVA filters, but also some of the UVB, azothylmethoxycinnamate, suffer photodecomposition. This is the reason why ISO 24443 demands irradiation of the samples before estimating the UVA PF. To estimate the UVA protection factor, it is needed an UVA spectrophotometer provided with an integration sphere. The UV light goes through a thin film of the sample deposited on a polymethyl methacrylate plate with rough surface mimicking the skin. As the data obtained in vitro does not match the values in vivo, an adjustment parameter is calculated, and the new UVA-PF is calculated. The ISO standard sets a definitive standard for the irradiation source. As the source used is a xenon arc lamp that hits the sample, and the thin films on the plates are disrupted by the temperature, a cooling unit must be incorporated, increasing the cost. To speed up the measurements, frequently this type of spectrophotometer is used, because its capacity to sweep all the wavelengths in a few minutes. In a recent paper, we demonstrated that those equipments are not strictly necessary. A normal spectrophotometer with the desired precision and integration sphere can be used, and a cheap LED UVA source with an appropriate wavelength and irradiance characteristics could be used. Our work was published in the Photochemistry and Photobiology journal. Our hope was to make on the reach of smaller laboratories this technique. Comparison of the new standards with the old ones. The new standard completely avoids the test on human beings, complying with one of the demands of academia and consumers, due to the lack of reproducibility of the former standards, which I have mentioned before. The experimental conditions are more strict. 2 sets of plates are needed, one set sanded and the other molded. The result on both are not strictly the same, and average of both is sought. A robot assures the reproducibility of the sunscreen film. The plates are kept horizontal to avoid the film flow. Strict control of temperature during the operation is needed. The pictures of the complete process are here. The first step consists in equilibrating the plates at 27 degrees Celsius. Afterward, samples are applied with the finger of a robot, at least in the 3 molded and 3 sandblasted plates. After drying the film, the initial absorbance is recorded, followed by the irradiation step. A final absorbance of samples is recorded to compute the sun protection factor. A strict spreading routine is asked to the robot. All the aforementioned conditions tend to limit the number of suppliers of the needed tools, as well as to limit the number of laboratories capable of offering these services. Strict conditions are imposed on the radiation source, figure on the top left side, and the place of the individual transmission sites on the plate, top right hand. As mentioned before, the average absorption for each sample is calculated as the weighted average of the molded and the sandblasted plates. The weighting coefficient C is an empirical one and depends on the type of product. Of course, the thorough understanding of the whole process and calculation cannot be achieved in the few minutes we have. Refer back to the charts and eventually to me afterwards if the detail is needed. Here we visualize the calculations for the sun protection factor in vitro and the UVA protection factor. Note that the limits for both integrals calculations are different. The sun protection factor takes into account all the wavelengths between 290 and 400 nanometer, while for the UVA PF, the sum ranges from 320 to 400 nanometer only. You may remember that the spectrophotometer must discriminate absorbances at each nanometer. The action spectra values for erythema and PPD are also specified in the standard for each nanometer. This you can see a part of the tables in the screen. I cannot imagine the computation task for each sample will be undertaken without a computer routine. The double plate method is an upgrade of the former methods. But since it's difficult to reproduce exactly the human skin topography, diffuse reflectance is employed in this new standard. The main advantage is a very low radiation dose for the measurement, avoiding skin injury. For the reasons I will explain in the next slide, it is necessary to patch up a part of the spectrum with measures in vitro. The diffuse reflectance spectroscopy technique allows the prediction of UVA PF2. You can see in the screen on the right-hand side the difference between a specular reflection and a diffuse reflection. The surface shifts the reflection angle of the incident light. The in vivo procedure is conducted on the back of volunteers in a similar way to ISO 24444 with a lower irradiation intensity. Fiber optics guides the incident beam and the reflected beam is collected by a second fiber manifold tube. Simultaneously, the complete spectrum is recorded in an analog way as for ISO 24443 standard. Figure 1 shows how the bundle of fiber optics in the central part of the probe collects diffuse reflectance from the skin and how the UV filtering film works. The drawing on the right below shows the diffuse spectrum coming from the skin cut at 320 nanometer and the complete UV spectrum obtained in vitro. As the scale is different, a scale factor is applied to obtain the complete spectrum from 290 to 400 nanometer. Few instruments are mentioned in the literature able to execute this technique. Here I show, for example, one from Bentham. Note that the square root in the calculation of transmittance for the intensity value. The technique can be performed by monochromatic or by polychromatic spectrophotometers. The calculations differ depending on the choice of equipment available. Just for the reference, I mention a couple of manufacturers who offer double beam fiber-guided optics spectrophotometers complying the requirements of the diffuse reflectance spectroscopy ISO standard. The measurements need at least 10 volunteers who meet the same inclusion-exclusion conditions as for ISO 24444. The in vitro record needs the same conditions as ISO 24443, but scanning the complete range of wavelengths from 290 to 400 nanometer. Are complex both for the monochromatic and polychromatic methods and are detailed in the standard. The results match well with those obtained by the old methods. Cosmetics Europe has recommended in 2022 to begin as soon as possible with the training of technical personnel to get acquainted with the instruments and the calculations. After several decades in which the methods for determining SPF and UV-IPF to qualify the protection provided by sunscreens against UV radiation remained unchanged conceptually, an international consensus has been reached to adopt two new methods. Both require a significant initial investment in modern equipment and extensive training for the personnel who will operate it. It seems advisable to prepare immediately to face the changes. Not doing so would mean widening the technological gap with developed countries and losing competitiveness in the cosmetic industry. Now, I thank you for your attention.